Hello and welcome to today's interview. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jennifer Baker, your host, and today I'm going to be talking to Professor Katrien Antonio, Professor in Actuarial Science and Insurance Analytics at KU Leuven and part-time Professor in Actuarial Data Science with the University of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, whose research focuses on insurance data science. So today we're going to talk about that and how it's relevant to the position, the job and the profession, and also taking a little bit of a look at developments in actuarial education. So Katrien, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with looking at actuarial science in general. How do you experience the collaboration between academia, where you might be working, and the industry when it comes to this? And what goes well with the collaboration between the two, and what do you think might be room for improvement?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question, Jennifer, and which is particularly relevant, let's say, for the kind of work or the kind of research that I try to work on in actuarial data science. So, of course, what has been a very important driver and a very important stimulus of some of my research contributions are collaborations with insurance companies or pension funds, where those companies allowed us or sort of stimulated us to work on a question, a challenge that they were confronted with in their daily activities, and where they were also able to give us access to work on their data and on their specific problems that they were facing. So that really was a driver for some of the recent contributions that we worked on, either in pricing or in reserving or in mortality modeling with data science tools. So I'm really grateful, and for me that's very inspiring to work to be able to collaborate with insurance companies on their problems and using their data sets. That was really great to see what could be improved. Well, of course, it's not easy to give external researchers access to data. But it takes effort from actuaries working in these companies to make sure that they get that they find a way to allow researchers to collaborate. So luckily enough, I know in my network quite a few actuaries who are willing to take this effort, but this might be a call to anyone working in practice to reach out to academia or to professors to share problems with us, to stimulate interactions. So maybe that's like having more people who reach out and try to look over the hedge on both sides, so academia as well as industry. That might be something like where we can all invest a bit more into.
You mentioned reserving and pricing there. So from the point of view of your research and the academic research, how important is that practical applicability part of it?
It is important, but let's say of course the first fundamental driver in our work is, of course, to get the foundations right, so to get them technically right, to develop new ideas in a very solid way. And what I also find very important in my more recent work is to make our contributions reproducible, so that, for instance, actuaries in industry who want to learn from these research contributions can find the code, can find some, let's say, simulated data or some toy data that they can practice on or try out the things we developed. So the theoretical foundations, and then illustrating, making it reproducible, trying out or showing what these models, for instance, can do on different data sets, either simulated or real data sets, and share these things to the best possible extent, of course, within the boundaries of confidentiality agreements and so on. These are my main drivers, let's say. And then, of course, like I said, in response to the first questions, so being stimulated by particular questions in industry, that's important. That's definitely a driver of the research, but making it, well, then reaching I think there's still a gap, or I realize there's still a gap between the things that we develop and publish then, and what is then, well, what one can use as tools in the daily industry practice. Of course, I think there's still a translation there to be made. For instance, making things more simple or more scalable, or these kind of things. But I think that's not my main task to do as a researcher. So I focus more on these foundations, making it reproducible, and then I hope that other people will take it and do that last step in terms of making things more simple, or translate the essentials to what can then be used in daily practice. That's a bit how I see it.
It's interesting, a bit like sandboxing, really, in a way.
Indeed, yeah, indeed.
So let's talk about trending topics, if you like, and your overview of the actuarial profession as something that has to follow these trends. We're thinking of things like cybersecurity, the future of quantum computing, AI, climate change, these big macro issues. How relevant are they? How important are they? And how much do they drive interpretations of both your research and the actuarial impression of the job overall?
Mm-hmm. That's a very important question, a very challenging question, of course, to answer. So, of course, well, if I try to answer the question from my own expertise, that's how I understand the question. So correct me if I'm wrong there. Of course, everything that has to do with data science tools, machine learning tools, and then, well, if you want AI in a broader sense, these are, of course, things I try to follow up, well, rather closely, let's say, and see how these tools can be used in actuarial research and be relevant for actuarial practice then in a broader perspective. And of course, if you look at these grand challenges, let's say, for instance, climate, well, what we try to do in recent work, for instance, is for instance, how can we use very granular collected weather data then? How can we use that in both life insurance, mortality modeling, for instance? How can we use this for non-life reserving, for instance, or for pricing claims for covers where weather can have an impact on those? So these are things I tried recently to start working on. We've got a recent project which we have the working paper available, that's about seeing how we can extend mortality projections typically developed at population level by actuaries, how we can extend those with these, well, very detailed weather data, which are publicly available, collected by satellites and so on. So we try to bring our contribution, but of course, like you already mentioned, there are so many challenges. So I know, of course, other researchers focus on cyber risk modeling. That's a theme that has been developed, or that professors, researchers start working on as well. So there are lots of things to do. Inclusive insurance is one other theme, I would say, and also thinking about how to share risks between different, well, between insurance companies, maybe governments can intervene to make sure that we are ready to bring the best possible protection to, well, many people, let's say, and companies in the best possible way. Yeah.
I mean, I think that covers something else I was going to ask about, which are, what do you think might be the big developments to keep an eye on? So I think those are the ones you consider most relevant for the industry, correct?
Indeed, and where I see, luckily, many intelligent people trying to work on it, and where I see many challenges ahead, but also, we've got great minds to trying to innovate and bring contributions in many of these topics. So that's nice to see.
Well, let's stay with those great minds and turn our thoughts to the actuarial education programs that are out there. And I'm wondering, is the program that you currently teach in Leuven difficult from what different, difficult for a start, but different from when you started your actuarial studies? And what would you say maybe is different, or what has changed? What have you seen as the
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, thank you for that question. It's definitely it has changed substantially over let's say last decades or something, if you want to put it like that. But what is important to stress is that the technical foundations are still the same. It's just that we still teach GLMs, for instance, generalized linear models, probability theory. So all these historical cornerstones are still in there. But of course, we have to teach more now, and we have to bring in more techniques and tools, for instance, from the data science, from the computer science world, but also looking into sustainability, for instance, looking more into evolutions in regulation, IFRS, solvency, and so on. So the toolkit, I would say, has expanded, right? But the technical foundations, they're still there, and we build on these technical foundations and try to bring our students also this bigger scope into how to use their technical skills for good, right? And to contribute to society and to try to innovate with respect to these grand societal challenges in a good way.
This is something I hear over and over again when I'm talking to people for the European Actuary, that this is like about really a societal level career, and you need to have that broad prospect. Now, according to various rankings, it seems that many of the best actuarial science programs worldwide are from Belgium. Is there a special reason for that you think might be the case? Or what maybe can other countries learn from Belgium in terms of the education side?
Yeah, well, of course, ranking and ranking programs, it's always a big, discussion. So I don't want to put too much weight, or I definitely don't want to say that our programs are better than any other great programs out there. So I think you have to look critically at the kind of rankings one would consider. But what I can say is, and that's just, objectively true, that Belgium has a very long-standing tradition in actuarial science. So we go back, let's say, 80 years or something with teaching actuarial science at universities in Belgium. We also have at least 3 universities, one in Brussels, one in Louvain, the French-speaking, and then one in Leuven. We teach in English and in Dutch. So we have 3 fully equipped 2-year master's programs in actuarial science. And we also try to collaborate. So we know that we can't be, let's say, fully experts in all these kind of topics that are relevant in actuarial science. So we try to stimulate our students also to look at what these other actuarial programs in Belgium have to offer and take elective courses there. We also have, of course, at European level the Erasmus type of exchanges. So I'm also very happy to see that our students, slowly try to go on these exchanges, even go to, we have one student going to Melbourne, one to Urbana-Champaign next year. So I think these are just good evolutions, right? So I just want to emphasize Belgium has a very long-standing tradition in actuarial science, and we try to do our best to keep up with this tradition and I'm grateful for the universities who and the government, the boards of these universities, which allow us, enable us to keep up these kind of niche programs, because that's still what we are in a big university like ours.
Now, I mentioned before that I hear about, societal challenges and how that's really quite important to those pursuing the actuarial profession. But how do we attract new young people, exploring minds, people with big ideas to join the profession? How do you attract them?
That's a good question as well, because how do we attract them? So I can only answer that question from my own experience. So here in Leuven, we try to keep up a good connection with, the bachelor's program in mathematics, for instance, in mathematical engineering, in economics, business engineering. And we try to offer elective courses there so that students early on in their program get a bit of a feeling of what actuarial science or financial mathematics could look like, right? And then we just try to do our best as professors in this discipline to really spark some interest in what one can do, right, with these mathematical tools or what they learn. For instance, if they're interested in business economics or business engineering, that they can also go in this direction of insurance or banking and find an interplay of so many different interesting technical subjects and disciplines there. And I think that's what eventually attracts students, seeing the interplay of so many different things, mathematics, but also the financial industry, the regulation, seeing insurance law, insurance regulation come into play there, and also, trying to build technical things that can help people to offer protection so that they can achieve their dreams and their life goals. Let's put it that way. But on what I have made a video with the team here at the university, so I'm not sure if you've seen that video, Jennifer, but I got a lot of quite positive reactions to that. So we do try to bring this, discipline, and with our marketing team here at the university, we do our best to explain future students what we do and to show them that this can be an interesting direction for them to go into if that's what they want to do.
Well, we'll try and get a link to that into our coverage.
I'll definitely share that one.
Yeah. And a final question then to sort of wrap up, and it's very overarching, it's another one of those big questions, is what is the most important thing to teach students that are coming? What is the most important message that you want actuarial students to leave their program with? Oh,
that's a very big question. I think what I find important is that they take the time during their study to really work on their foundations, because that's at that moment in their career or in their life, they have the time to go deep into a subject. And then so I think that's still very, very important. So to take the time to really go into the depth of these foundations of the profession, which I mentioned earlier on. And then, of course, we do want to, or I would say it's important for them to get an overview of the different interesting disciplines that come together, the different challenges to which they can contribute in the next steps of their career. But I guess that's a bit the mix that I'll try to bring in my courses. So working on the technical foundations on the one hand, but also trying to show them the bigger picture, bring illustrations that matter. So showing them how these things can come to life in actual problems and tools that we try to develop.
Well, thank you very much.
Maybe one thing I want to, sorry to interrupt, but what I also try to do whenever that's feasible is to show them the similarities and also the differences with other fields. It can be in epidemiology, for instance, can be in maybe in computer science. So also trying to spark their interest by showing them how to connect the dots between different topics or disciplines whenever that is possible.
Well, thank you. I think you really set out a challenging challenge for your students, and hopefully bringing them into the profession with the enthusiasm that I'm sensing from you. So thank you very much for today's interview, and of course keep up the great work at KU Leuven.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, and we